Good morning, boys and girls. It is Saturday, May 8th, 2021, and we are back with another episode of Brewed Bets where the coffee is strong and the bets are stronger. I'm your host, Brandon Johnson, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, JT. JT, how are we doing this morning?
Feeling good, drinking some coffee, getting going here early in the
Be
morning. But
honest with the people. You are not feeling good.
I'm a little hungover. We did a little bit of drinking, went to a brewery last night for dinner, and then came back and didn't have too many at the brewery. But then we got back here, and I've been on an icy like mango kick, and I had a few too many of those.
No holds barred. What is it, man, about the breweries? Like, I feel even if you buy the brewery's beers at a local distributor, they hit harder at the brewery.
Yeah,
Do you find that to be the case?
I think you're right. I don't know why, but yeah, they've got a different feel to them when you're actually there in the presence of the makers.
That's true. I don't know what it is, but God bless them for what they do. And look, that leads us to what we start with every weekend, the coffee. So on a day that's rough, on a rough Saturday, how's JT taking his coffee?
Got a little bit of caramel creamer. I'm still drinking some badass coffee from down in Destin, Florida. Um, I got to get another bag. I got to go on there and pick one out and get Pale Horse to ship me one. But yeah, drinking just a little bit of cream, mostly just black coffee.
That's it. Magic Bean Water makes us go-go, and we are here to go-go with some good picks, and we're going to start every pick off like we always do with the 3-2-1. That's going to be 3 good bets, 2 locks, and 1 upset. And today, I'm a little all over the place. I got some basketball, I got some hockey, got some baseball. I'm everywhere. So let's get into it. My 3 good picks this afternoon, and they all happen to be playing today. Sometimes I'll mix in a Sunday, but today I did not. Nats versus Yankees. I'm taking under 8. We'll get into that there, but under 8 runs, Nats versus Yankees. Padres versus Giants. I'm going to go over 7 runs. We'll get into that. I'm taking the Tampa Bay money line too. I think those are 3 pretty good picks, and hopefully after I get done explaining my thought process, everyone will agree with me. My 2 locks, I'm not worried about it. 2 locks, Portland -6 against the San Antonio Spurs. And I got in early. I got Pens -1.5 versus the Sabres. I think right now JT informed me that they're now at 2.5, -2.5 goals. And I think I'm still going to lock that one up, but we'll get there too. And then my 1 upset, I'm actually going to take the Royals on the money line to beat the Chicago White Sox. And we'll jump into that as well. So that's the 3-2-1, starting every Saturday the same way. And that means that we're going to now throw it to JT for JT's good bets.
I love that upset pick, first of all. I'm excited to hear what you have to say about it, but I love that pick. I'm a little all over the place too. I actually have a soccer pick, but on the year, I was putting together my stats. In baseball, I'm 102-77, which is a 57% win percentage. That's throughout the whole week. So I'm doing pretty good there. 22-14 on the NHL. That's 61%. And then my soccer picks, they don't come all the time. But since the beginning of 2021, I'm 3-0 on soccer picks. So I feel pretty strong about this one and can keep the 100% win streak going. But just jump right into it. When I looked, Penguins were -2.5, so I was afraid of that. I'm just going to take Penguins first period money line. I'll get into that later. I'm agreeing with you on Yankees Nationals under 8. I think that's a great bet. Reds Indians first inning under. I've been in on those all year long. My soccer pick, Man City and Chelsea in the Premier League, going under 2.5 goals. And then my Sunday first inning parlay, going first inning under in the Mets Diamondbacks and the Phillies Braves games tomorrow.
Okay. I like that. And you're still on the soccer pick. I did soccer a couple weeks ago, and it didn't go so well for me, which is not normally the case. During the regular season, I guess during league play, I did really, really well. I came out, I believe, I don't know the stat, but I was like 4 or 5 picks better on the win column than the loss column. So league play, I was good. But once these playoffs and these leagues have started, man, I am just out. I don't know what it is.
It gets very difficult. I only pick here and there when I feel very strongly about one. So I'll get into why later on.
Okay. All right, so let's go in and jump in a little bit here and talk about some of these picks that we got. We're not just going to throw picks and tell you to take them. We're going to explain them. And if you agree, take them. If not, don't. But as always on this show, it never fails. One of us will explain our picks and sway the other to take something else. All right, so let's get into it. I went really detailed today. I'm feeling really good about my slate. So let's hop into the 3-2-1 again. Again, the first good pick was Nats Yankees under 8. This one is pretty simple to me. To me. The New York Yankees continue to be tremendously overvalued in the sportsbook world. This afternoon, they're once again priced as the betting favorite against the Nats, despite what I think is a clear matchup at disadvantage for the Yankees. Mm-hmm. I think that Nats are the better team, and you get Max Scherzer on the mound against Corey Kluber, and Max Scherzer is coming off a complete game, and I believe he only gave up two hits in that game.
I think there was 2.
Okay, so traditionally and historically, when Max Scherzer gets going, it's not just for a game; it's for a while. And I don't think that there's going to be a lot of runs here with those two pitchers, especially with Scherzer. We've got low 50s at the first pitch. The wind, from what I understand, should be blowing in towards home plate. 8 is a fat number for 2 stud pitchers on the mound. So I'm going under for those reasons, and I think that we're going to see something closer to a 3-2 ball game here.
Yeah, you got 2 former Cy Young winners there, and the under for these 2 teams have actually been hitting more often. You would think the Yankees, their bats get going, but in Corey Kluber's 3 home starts this year, the unders hit in all 3 games. So that trend looking to continue there. And then the Nationals are under in 4 of their last 5 games.
I did not know that, but I love any supporting evidence on my behalf. So thank you, JT. All right, so let's go to the next game. Padres versus Giants. Over 7 is what I'm taking here. Look, Kevin Gausman has pitched extremely well this year, but his career tells us another story. All right. He is, let me pull this stat up. He's 30 now, and he's in his 9th season in the league. He's lost 14 more games than he's won. Mm-hmm. And he's just 2 years removed from a season where he finished with a 5.72 ERA. Not too good. And like Gausman, we got Joe Musgroves going over there for the Giants. His career numbers are average, pedestrian at best as well. He seems to be the better pitcher, but he did just give up 6 runs to this exact same lineup yesterday. So, the last time that they played. So,
he's been struggling a little bit since he had that no-hitter. Mm-hmm. He had a no-hitter, 3 or 4 weeks ago, and he's been giving up some runs. I was also looking at this one. This one just missed my board.
Yeah, so I'm going to go safe here, and I'm going to bet 4 runs, which is always a fun way to watch a baseball game. You don't want it to stay under because baseball can be boring enough as it is. But, yeah, we're rooting for offense here, and I think between Gausman and Musgroves, I think we're going to get there, and I don't think it's really much of a problem, but not enough for me to make it a lock. And then my last good pick, the Tampa Bay money line. Look, the Rays have been struggling to win games in the beginning of the season because their offense was lacking. But before last night's game, they didn't do too well last night. But before last night's game, they were averaging 6.2 runs in the last 5 games and just seemed to kind of, I don't know, they seem to have a different approach at the plate, I would say. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know what got into them, but they've improved to 11-5 on the road with the sweep of the Angels. They're hitting much better for average on the road compared to at home, and they're on the road today. They're throwing up Glasnow, which good luck.
Yeah, always a safe bet to take him.
So here's a fun stat for you. In his 43.2 innings pitched, he's allowing just 10 runs, and he's pairing that with 64 strikeouts. Good luck.
Okay. That hurts me so much because he was a Pirate, was a terrible pitcher as a Pirate, and we decided to trade him, Austin Meadows, and Shane Baz for Chris Archer, who was extremely disappointing. So I love watching him pitch. He's hilarious too in his post-game interviews.
He is.
But I just wish he was still in a Pirates uniform. I miss him.
Yeah, well, I'll help make you feel a little bit better here, hopefully. Because speaking of bad pitchers, Frankie Montas is going for the Oakland A's, and he's on my fantasy team. He's a starting pitcher of mine because there was a lot of good motion around him in the offseason, and he has been awful. So I think that Tampa Bay is going to have no problem in this. I can see this being 7-2, 8-1. I can see this being ugly and quick. So sorry about your luck with the Pirates, but I'm not getting any help from Frankie Montas either, so I guess we'll call it even. Switching over to the two locks, Portland -6 versus the San Antonio Spurs. I have two words here, all Portland. There's nothing else really there. I don't think 6 is enough. Now, look, this is the NBA. San Antonio is not a scrub team, right? That doesn't exist. There are bottom dwellers for sure, but again, these are the best players in the world. On any given night, the right guys can get hot and the right team can beat anybody. That's exactly why when we get to the playoffs, the NBA does series, because any team can get lucky, but how many times can you beat the same team in a row? That's why they do the series. I just don't think San Antonio has enough. Dame Lillard has been on fire. They're fighting to move up the ranks in the Western Conference, and they've got a limited amount of games left to do it. LA's giving them a lot of help. And I think they'll continue to give them a lot of help. But I just think Portland -6 is too enticing to avoid. So that's going to be my lock. My second lock, the Pittsburgh Penguins -1.5. Now keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, I got in at 1.5 this morning or late last night. It changed to 2.5. I'm still taking it, and here's why. The Pens are currently at the top of the spot for their division. JT and I were discussing this pre-show. They only have one game remaining, and the Washington Capitals have 2. If they want a chance at securing home ice, they have to win this game. If they win this game, then Washington has to win their next 2. And Washington's opponent, the next 2, are way stiffer than the Buffalo Sabres. Buffalo Sabres are the worst team in the NHL. They have to be, right? Yeah. And Pittsburgh lucked out here. Obviously, they didn't intend to be in this tight of a race with Washington. Thank you to both of them for the amazing series they gave us this year. But if they're looking to finish strong, they definitely lucked out with who their opponent is. They've been the worst team in the league, Buffalo has, for the entire seasons, and the Pens have exploited that. Pittsburgh's won 6 of 7 games against the Sabres, and they've outscored them 30-14. So 1.5, 2.5, 3.5, 5.5. I don't think it particularly matters. Pittsburgh needs to come out and make a statement. They need to get some goals in the net, and they need to they need to get the puck in the net. And I think 1.5 is definitely a lock. And even at 2.5, if you can still get it at 2.5, I'm taking that as well. I like Pittsburgh there. And then for the Royals money line, that's going to be my upset pick. Chicago, they are hot. All right. They're a great offensive team. We know what they've been doing lately. They're also throwing out who are they throwing out today?
Giolito's tomorrow.
Yeah. So Lance Lynn's going out there today. And the last time he went out, he tossed a complete game shutout with 11 batters or struck out 11 batters and only allowed 5 hits. He's probably going to have similar success today. However, and this is where I get there. There's this kid making his second career start who, if you haven't heard of this gentleman, I don't know where you've been. His name is Daniel Lynch, and he is a stud. And no one is talking about him in this matchup. I think, if I'm not even mistaken, I'm pretty sure the White Sox are 2-run favorites, probably 1.5. No, in Vegas. That seems to be the case with all the baseball games. But Daniel Lynch, remember the name, because when you take the Kansas City Royal money line and get your plus 150 and you make $50, you're going to remember Daniel Lynch and Sports with BJ, Brandon Johnson telling you he's going to be the reason. This game is going to come down to the bullpen late. And in that scenario, I like the Royals. I don't think Daniel Lynch is being given enough credit. I think that he's going to keep that game well in reach, if not help Kansas City. Because to me, and JT, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like all of Chicago White Sox, I'm not going to say all, a bulk of their success has come from starting pitching, and defense. I haven't seen them really lighten it up on the plate.
Yeah, I don't. I have them pulled up right now. They must be doing it quietly because their on base percentage is second in the league.
Mhm.
But like you said, like I feel like the only time I'd want to bet on them is when Giolito's on the mound because I trust his pitching, but their hitting just doesn't blow me away.
Mhm.
And the Royals are a decent team. They're are they still in first place?
I believe they are.
Yeah, they've been one of the surprise teams. There's a few teams still at the top of the standings, but or no, I guess the White Sox overtook them, but they're only a game and a half back. So they're right there with them. And I
Right.
like that pick. I think you're right there with the pitching. He's going to – I actually want to see the stat. I'll have to look for it to see next week. I want to see what a guy pitches, what the average stats are for a guy the game after he pitches a complete game. Because you said about Scherzer – Scherzer's used to it. Like, he pitches a bunch of those. But Lance Lynn – that's not his normal thing. He's usually going 6-7 innings. I feel like you would have to have a regression there the game after.
Right. Yeah, it'd be really interesting to see how that goes. I think that's a great stat, and I'm sure that somewhere in the interwebs we can find it. But yeah, it would be interesting to know what happens after a complete game, what that next outing is like. But again, for me, like I said, with Scherzer, this is nothing new with him. I mean, he can go out and throw 2, 3, 4 complete games a year and be just perfectly fine. But it's interesting with these others, especially because who was it for the White Sox that just threw a complete? Was it Lance Lynn? Did he just come off the complete game with the 11 Ks?
Yes.
Okay, and he's younger, is he not?
No, he's older. The guy that threw the no-hitter a couple weeks ago.
That was the
younger. Yeah.
Okay. Well, regardless, Lance Lynn versus Daniel Lynch, it's going to be an amazing pitching duel to watch for sure. But again, I like I said, I think it's going to come down to the bullpen late in the game in this one, and I'm going to give the edge to the Royals bullpen and honestly the Royals bats. I mean, I don't know what else to say, but I am taking this. If y'all want to, Brandon, why the Royals? Because no one's talking about Dustin Lynch. That's why. And he's going to show y'all today. So that's my 3, 2, 1.
Great way to end it there. I think you meant Daniel Lynch too. Dustin Lynch, you've got country music on the mind.
I am. I was blasting out to some Luke Combs last night, so I do have country on the mind. But yeah.
So I'll get into mine. I like all your picks. Usually we seem to disagree on one or two, but I don't see anything there. I mean, we have an agreement on one of our picks,
right?
And then everything else seems pretty good. But I'll jump right in with my hockey pick. The Penguins' first period money line. I looked around this game because I'm with you. The Penguins are trying to get that win. I mean, the money line is -409. I haven't seen that high.
That is high
all year long. And then when I jumped on it this morning, it was -2.5. That's a little dangerous for me. Even though 5 of their 6 wins against the Sabres this year have been by at least 3 goals. So you should feel pretty good about that if you take it. But I think their Penguins are just going to come out strong and take a 1 or 2 goal lead in the first period. So I got that at -112. So not really much juice there. And I think I don't remember the last time that they beat out the Caps in the division. Normally the Caps are leading the entire NHL in wins.
Right.
So this would be a big moment for them to be able to take a stranglehold there and have home ice advantage throughout the playoffs.
Absolutely. And hey, look, the last time that they had home ice advantage, if I'm not mistaken, was the year for Washington. Now, not the year that they won, but the year before they won, if people remember, Washington was by far the best team in the NHL, and it wasn't even close. And they got to the semifinals and had to go to Pittsburgh for the home ice, and Pittsburgh just shat on everything.
Yeah. I wasn't there for that game for any of the Cap series, but I was there for against the Senators that year.
Okay.
That was a great 2-year run. Hopefully we can get back to that. hoping the Penguins can make a run. But I'll jump to my next one. I'm with you. Yankees under 8. You gave a lot of good points there. And I kind of gave my points. So we'll skip right over that since we've already talked about it. But we both feel pretty safe. Yankees Nationals under 8.
Absolutely.
So my next one, jumping in back to the first inning unders, Reds Indians. This is kind of just based on the pitching matchup. Luis Castillo, Aaron Seville. Aaron Seville is not the Indians' ace. That would be Shane Bieber, but he is also pretty good early on in games. He kind of struggles later on, second or third time through the lineup. And I really like Luis Castillo. I usually bet on the Reds every time he goes out there. So I'm going to go with both of them come out strong and put up zeros in the first inning.
Like that.
So my soccer pick, Manchester City and Chelsea under 2.5 goals. This is for the Premier League. They also will play at the end of the month for the Champions League. That'll be the championship for the Champions League. But they're playing for the Premier League here. Man City is going for the title. Chelsea, not really much to play for left in the Premier League. Last time they played, Chelsea won 1-0. And Man City, I believe, hasn't given up a goal in their last 3 games. I think this is a tight game that is going to be a very defensive game. They're going to try to feel each other out and not give up too much, since I think they both want to win the Champions League. So this game doesn't mean as much. And also, I don't know who all will be playing in this game because Chelsea's played 2 games in the last week.
Which in soccer is just crazy, especially this time of year.
Yeah, they usually are spread out. You have like weeks in between games, and this will be their 3rd game in about 8 or 9 days. So I think that this is going to be just a slow, grinded out game that I think Man City probably wins 1-0. So I feel pretty safe about that not getting to 3 goals.
I like that. I really do.
So then my last pick, I'm going to Sunday, going to tomorrow. I'm going to 2-game parlay, both first inning unders. I'm starting off with Mets Diamondbacks, and this is basically a principal pick. Jacob deGrom is on the mound for the Mets. I usually bet his starts about 3 different ways. I usually do the under for the game, the under for the first inning, and whatever his strikeout prop is. He's coming off, he missed his last start due to lat tightness. They say that it's no issue, but I'm going to stay away from taking all 3 of those today or tomorrow. I'm just going to take the first inning under. He usually comes out pretty strong and gets at least
that number.
The first inning under?
Yeah. Is it 1?
It's always 0.5. So
okay.
It's always whether just a run's going to be scored or not.
Okay.
So I like that. And then Phillies Braves. It's going to be the Sunday night baseball game tomorrow. And you've got Aaron Nola going up for the Phillies. He's the Phillies ace. He usually comes out strong. So I feel good about him getting through that lineup. And then I don't have his first name written down, but for the Braves, I want to get this right because he has been pitching very well this year. His name is Huskar Ynoa. He's 3-1 on the year, 2.36 ERA, and he has not given up more than 2 runs in 5 of his 6 starts. He got beat up in one of his starts, but he's only given up a first inning run in that game that he struggled. Every other start, he's not given up a run in the first inning. So I feel pretty strong about that one. That parlay, I can't put it in yet, but I believe it probably is going to be around plus 200.
Okay.
So that's a pretty good bet, and you only have to watch 2 innings of baseball to see if you're a winner.
Which is always fun.
Yeah. I like quick, get to the point. That's why I'm taking first inning or first period for the Penguins, and then I've got 3 first inning bets here. Get in, get out, win some money.
I like it.
I know I've struggled a little bit on Saturdays, so I want to tell everybody, go follow the Sports Shift Media Twitter account, and I'm going to start putting out my picks. Like I said earlier on at the beginning of the broadcast, I'm doing pretty well in baseball overall, It's just for some reason Saturdays seem to be a struggle. So if you go follow at Sports Shift Media on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, I'm going to start putting my picks up every day because I want to give you winners. So let's win some money together.
Absolutely. And keep in mind, this is, I'm not trying to puff anybody's chest out here, but what we do here is rough because we're doing it Saturday morning because that's when the lines come out. We don't have these lines the night before most of the time. So when we get up, we're up early, looking at these lines, looking at these stats. And for a lot of these baseball picks, we have probable starters. There's been at least 4 games I can think of this year that we've taken bets on where the probable starter did not end up starting that game.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of variables going in here. So for us to be 500 right now, sitting at 11-11, we started off really, really strong. And if y'all followed us during March Madness, we made y'all a lot of money. But right now, it's about finding that groove and finding that sweet spot with our picks. And I think, JT, you're onto something there with the first inning hitters because, man, how many games do you see in baseball where it's 0-0 going into the second, third, fourth inning? Like it's hard to put up runs right off the bat.
Yeah, and what you see is if you look for the certain games, if you find a good starter, normally like the guys that are the 1 or 2 starters for teams, they're going to get through that lineup the first time. They're going to get you only give up 1 or 2 hits, and then it's usually the second or third time through the lineup that hitters start to make adjustments, and they might be able to get those guys. So like first inning under, even I've never tried it, but you could even go 3 inning under, and that's probably a pretty safe bet. I haven't looked too much into that one, but I'll do some research. But yeah, early on in the game, there's not a lot of runs scored. You're going to get burned every once in a while, but from what I've seen, I've hit 2. So usually every day, I don't give this out, but I usually put in a 3-game parlay where it's 3 first inning unders. I've hit that parlay 3 times this week.
Wow.
So, I mean, more times than not, you're not going to see any runs in the first inning.
That's true. That's and I love all of that. Let's see what we got here for some inning props. So third inning total runs that's not really so you can do the first 5 innings, you can do the first inning. So for example, in the Nats Yankees game, the first 5 innings. So you basically take the score after the first 5 innings going into the 6th and see what the score is. And the over-under for that today for the Nats Yankees is 4.5.
Yeah.
I mean, which if you don't think they're going to get to 8, you definitely don't think they're going to be at over half halfway through the game, right?
Yeah, so, and that bet's actually really good if you have 2 teams that you don't trust their bullpen, because the first 5 innings, that's basically telling you, I trust these starters, but I don't trust the bullpen.
Right. And that's going to be huge today, especially for that pick. Now, listen, again, 50s at that first pitch, it's hard for the ball to fly. Wind blowing in from home plate, hard for the ball to fly. The only thing that makes me nervous about that game, the only thing, is how deep will Scherzer go after a complete game outing, right? If he gets pulled somewhere around the 4th, 5th inning, because typically Scherzer's a 6, 7 inning pitcher, right?
Yeah.
Like you're just not getting him off the mound, and the Nationals have that understanding with him. I think that's part of why he chose Washington and stays there. Because they just have that agreement that, look, I'm going to go out and I'm going to shove and I'm going to tell you when I'm ready. But I think that arm fatigue is a real thing. And the Nationals have a squad again that are looking to get to the World Series. They're looking to, take home another championship, and they've got the team to do it. Especially with the struggles that we've seen out of Oakland and the struggles we've seen in LA. My gosh. And I know a lot of that's injury. They've got some players hurt, but still, I mean, you're talking about a stacked squad that just added more talent this offseason, and they're not doing much with it. But again, gelling is a real thing, especially in baseball.
Yeah.
Baseball to me is the most ritualistic, superstitious sport in all of sports. And when you mess with the juju, baby, some things can go awry. So the Dodgers are looking for their juju. San Diego is doing what we thought they would do. But with all of that parity out there, I don't see why the Nationals can't get there. And you got to start thinking, he just threw a complete game. Are we going to throw him out for 6 or 7 more innings? If he gets pulled early, that under is going to start looking a little bit nervous to me because they're not pulling Kluber early over on the Yankee side.
Mm-hmm.
So you could have a situation where for like 2 or 3 innings, it might be Corey Kluber versus the Nationals bullpen. And
that's advantage Yankees.
Right. So I like Scherzer to get me 4-5 good innings. I like the weather to help with that. The problem with Scherzer, and we've seen this over the year, it's kind of like the Kershaw factor, but not really. Kershaw's a different animal, but I think they both struggle with the same thing. They just struggle at different times. Scherzer's during the regular season, Kershaw's whenever it matters. And the problem is that when they're on, even a little bit, right? Even Scherzer at like 75, 80%, you can't touch him.
Yeah.
But if he's off, every hitter is seeing everything, and he's going to get blasted.
Because when he's off, that fastball is very straight, and you can see it coming out of his hand, and you can square it up pretty good.
Yeah.
But it's just that it doesn't happen very often.
No, and that's a great point. That cutter starts to not cut.
Yeah.
And it's if y'all aren't big into baseball, I mean, I'm into the science behind it. I think hitting a baseball is the hardest thing to do in all of sports. And I've played a lot of sports. The only thing I would say would be harder than hitting a baseball in the world of sports would be whatever they do in cricket. That ball is coming hard and it's bouncing. And have you ever I think it's called, is it a paddle?
That's what I would call it. I don't know what they call it, but
let's do a little. What is a cricket bat called?
I've sat down and watched one of those games before. Not the whole thing because they end up being like 8 hours long, but that is an insane sport.
It really is, and I don't know. Most cricket bats are called short handles.
Interesting.
But it is cricket bat. Like if you said cricket bat, I don't think you would be offending any cricket fan or cricket player.
Yeah.
But that thing is it's a flat paddle. It's just awkward. There's a couple of Indian families in our condo complex. And when I tell you that these dads and their boys are out in the lot every single day practicing cricket, I've held a cricket paddle and I tried to hit it one day. And we've got cars everywhere. So it's not coming in hard. Yeah. It is hard to hit that son of a gun. I mean, it's ridiculous. But at the same time, they get that cool, crazy wind up where they get to run at you and samurai throw. And
it seems like they're pretty close. I don't know how far the distance is supposed to be, but it seems like they're right on top of each other.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you a question, JT. We're talking about some of the most difficult things to do in sports. I think baseball and cricket right there, hitting a baseball at the pro level. And then, golf is hard. We're both golfers. If golf is boring, we know, blah, blah, blah. But hitting a golf ball straight consistently and getting a golf ball to do what you want it to do is very difficult. But I don't think it's difficult as hitting a baseball. So the question is, if you could be the best at any sport and be the best at the most difficult aspect of that sport, what would it be? What would you choose?
Cool. I always had dreams of being a pitcher in the major leagues. So being able to locate your pitches on the corners, I think the guys that can ring people up looking all the time, there's a few pitchers around the league that just have crazy pitches that always seem to find the corners. I think that would be my personal favorite, but then it would also be cool to just be able to drain every 3 like Steph Curry. That's my backup pick.
I love that. Mine's a little off. I am intrigued by free throw percentage. I would want to be the all-time leader in free throw percentage. That would be mine. Yeah. I don't know what it is, but it intrigues me how something so simple can be so difficult for so many.
Yeah, I've always heard that. I definitely don't have this problem. I have tiny hands, and I'm pretty good at making free throws. But with those guys that make the NBA, the bigger you get, the bigger your hands get, and it starts to be like if you tried to shoot free throws with a Nerf ball. That would be like what it's like. So it does get more difficult for them. But I love a guy that can go to the free throw line, and you're getting 2 every time.
Absolutely. It's a value to have.
Mm-hmm.
I think back to, and again, this is going to sound, well, you know what? No, I don't think anyone here knows my associations. So I'm just going to say it. The performance that Kyle Guy put on the line against Auburn at the end of that Final Four game was the most ice cold thing I've ever seen in my life. I mean, to be on that stage and the everything going behind it, right? You have to understand, we're talking University of Virginia basketball here now. And when they won the championship in 2019, there was nothing they could do short of winning the national championship that would make up for what happened just the year before against UNC, right? You've got Tony Bennett, who has developed this mantra that he can run through the ACC in the regular season. He can win the ACC championship, but you put him in the NCAA tournament and his teams are going to crumble somewhere around the Sweet 16 or the Elite 8, right? And we're trying to ruin that stigma, and UVA goes out and loses to UMBC. So you've got the weight of Tony Bennett's legacy in the hands of this 20-year-old kid. And outside of that, oh, by the way, if I make these 3, we go to the national championship. With there was 0.5, 0.6 seconds they put back on the clock. Yeah, because basically enough for a heave and throw for Auburn, and they're down 2. He goes to the line and they're down 2, and he gets 3 free throws. And with all of that going on, we still got fans. So where's that? Lucas Oil? No, that was in Minneapolis. So we're at US Bank Stadium. We've got 130,000 people watching you. And he just steps up and cold-blooded makes them. And I watched the documentary. I don't know if you have yet.
No.
That second one, him, Ty Jerome, and Kihei Clark, and DeAndre Hunter all thought he missed that second one. It came off his hand so left. But it I guess he had enough arc on it that when it hit, it came down just right. But he said when he released it, he thought he missed it for sure.
That's pretty crazy. I have not heard that, but I mean, free throws at the end of a game are the most pressure packed thing that you can do in sports. And then like on the other side, you have Derrick Rose, who will always be remembered for missing the free throws against Kansas and losing that national championship. So that is a pretty good one. I'd like to have that on my list too, of things to be good at.
Yeah. Well, after that intriguing conversation, I think we could go all day with this, but we are here to talk bets. So we'll recap one more time. The 3-2-1, Washington versus the Yankees under 8, Padres Giants over 7, Tampa Bay money line versus Oakland. The 2 locks are going to be Portland -6 versus San Antonio, Pittsburgh Penguins -1.5 or 2.5, depending on how you got it, versus the Buffalo Sabres. And the one upset is going to be the Royals money line versus the White Sox. JT's best bets today: Penguins first period money line, Yankees Nationals again under 8. Keep in mind, we will not count that as 2 wins if it hits. It's just 1 because we're in agreement. Reds Indians first inning under, Man City Chelsea under 2.5 goals, and a Sunday first inning parlay: Mets, Diamondbacks, and Phillies, Braves, both to get out of the first inning scoreless. And those are going to be your picks. JT, any closing thoughts?
Just always bet responsibly. And we'll see you next week, hopefully bringing you winners all week.
Absolutely. And if you do need help, you can always call 1-800-GAMBLING. They'll be great to talk to you. JT, of course, great point. Always bet responsibly. Enjoy the weekend, and we'll see you next Saturday.